This presentation was originally called 5 DITA Open Toolkit plugins, and
what I told you, I was saying 5, 6, and now it's 7.
yeah. Last night I remember that yeah, I was missing a couple of them. So I'm a software engineer. I work for Oxygen, like maybe 10 plus years. I worked, you know, Oxygen is Java-based application, so I'm Java software engineer. I also offer technical support regards DITA, and sometimes based on ideas which come from our users, I implement small plugins. So these plugins, you know, most of them were not based on our ideas. Our clients had these ideas, and the first plugin is an older plugin. It was released 2 years ago. It's a plugin which produces PDF using DITA and CSS, and it does this by applying one of two commercial PDF engines, either Prince XML or Antenna House. So it has various features like a table of contents. So the generated PDF has a table of contents, has links, tables. It can show images and an index page. And you know, it's very easy to customize the output. You know, if you compare it with customizing the XSLFO output, you do not need XSLT knowledge. You just need CSS knowledge. Add certain CSS selectors to customize the output. And as an update, this year we also added new features to this plugin. For example, Oxygen has support for change tracking and for adding comments, and this plugin can take that change tracking information and place it in the PDF. Also, if you have tables, they have various column width, and the plugin originally didn't handle that properly, and now it does. Again, with tables, the table header will be repeated on each page. And you can contribute CSS styles via a special, actually it's the same name of the parameter that is used for XHTML processing, called args.css. So this plugin was updated to contain these fixes, and I will show you how the plugin works. Basically, if you want to customize the CSS output for this plugin, usually you take the element, the DITA element which interests you, and say inspect styles, and the CSS inspector will show you all the selectors which match your element, and then, for example, you can add a special coloring to it. By default, the CSS is used by the plugin are the same that Oxygen uses to render the content. So you should see the change both in the editing page and also in the obtained PDF output. The plugin is open source, and when it is integrated in another DITA OT, it has its own set of CSSs that it works with. In this case, I have a couple of topics. They have change tracking, like I have a comment here. I have another comment here with the replies. And I have a note here, a danger note, and I also created a small CSS file, which is my additional CSS, and it says something like match on the note, type danger, color red, and I don't know, add some border and padding, just to see that the PDF properly works. And the configure transformation scenario. So it's a transformation type, it's a specific transformation type. The path to the additional CSS used for publishing, and a special parameters which says if you have Oxygen track changes in the document, show them in the PDF. By default they are not shown, because people want by default to publish maybe for print or for external use and not for internal use. I already have the Prince XML engine installed. So that's the PDF. It has a table of contents. It has an index page at the end. As you see, the note has been already been customized by that custom CSS to be read. The change tracking started showing up. For example, here I have an attribute modification. You have the title of the topic is blue, because again I went to the CSS and changed that to blue. I have a table which spans multiple pages, and the header repeats on every page. Again, the table has a certain column width, and they are taken into account in this PDF. Again, change tracking, deletions of content. You have small numbers which should take you to that specific place, insertions of content, comments, and here we have threaded replies. So we have an initial comment and two other guys replied to that comment. So this plugin in time will probably be more mature. We keep adding various bug fixes because we have clients who are starting using this plugin to actually publish content. And what's missing is an engine to produce the PDF without any commercial tool. Maybe we'll have that in a future version as well. And at some point I saw that the previous plugin had style sheets which handled change tracking the PDF output. So I considered, okay, I will create a plugin which handles Oxygen change tracking, but in the classic PDF output. So this plugin takes Oxygen change tracking information and creates footnotes with them. So it handles comments, change tracking, insertions and deletion, color highlights, and threaded replies. And it does that with the classic PDF output. And I will show you how this plugin looks like. It's a little bit complicated. So you have a Oxygen XML PDF review plugin. It's available on GitHub. And the plugin has 3 XSLT stages. In the first XSLT stage, the plugin applies an XSLT style sheet which takes the Oxygen processing instructions. So for change tracking, Oxygen has processing instructions which mark the content. So the first stage takes the processing instructions and converts them to specific elements which are not DITA, which are in a certain namespace. And then this plugin has a build file which applies 2 more XSLT style sheets directly on the XSLFO output, so that the final XSLFO output will contain XSLFO elements corresponding to the Oxygen changes. Just to show you an example of output, so I have a small DITA map, and this topic is full of I don't know, insertions, comments, threaded replies, and so on. And when I publish, I publish the classic PDF output using Apache FOP, for example, and as parameters I set again a show changes and comments parameter. And the result is less spectacular than in the PDF plus obtained from the DITA and CSS, meaning that I did not create callouts on the side. I just added small footnote links. So for each of these reviews, I can go to the footnote and I can find more information, like it's a deletion, an insertion, a comment. Here is the threaded reply. So we had customers who wanted to review Oxygen change tracking in the PDF. I'm not entirely sure if that's feasible with lots of content, but you know. The next plugin was for something that again people want to include dynamic content in the DITA topics. They want to refer in the DITA topics to audio files, to video resources like MP4 videos, or to embedded videos like YouTube. And they want to publish that content to HTML and you know, have that video shown in the HTML, so that your DITA topic contains both static text and links to media resources. And this plugin supports this functionality. So once you have in the DITA topic a reference to an audio or a video file, you can publish it to XHTML or to Oxygen Web Help and have that videos shown in place. For the PDF output, I opted to show a link to the video, so I did not embed in place the media in the PDF output. I think that commercial processors like Antenna House also have this option to embed in the PDF output the media, so this plugin can be improved in time. As all other plugins, it's licensed with an Apache license, so you can take it and use it as you want. Just to show you how this plugin is constructed. So the media plugin has a plugin.xml, I don't know, the plugin name, and it contributes to style sheets. One style sheet which is contributed to the XHTML based processing. So this style sheet will be including along with the other style sheets which produce XHTML, and one is included in the step which takes DITA content and produces XSLFO output. The XHTML style sheet basically matches a DITA object which has an output class equal video, and I also included the possibility that there is an element called video in the DITA content. In doing this, I prepared for the future because the lightweight DITA standard will have audio and video elements directly in the DITA in the lightweight DITA specification. So I tried in this style sheet to be prepared also for when the standard comes up. So once it matches an object with an output class video, it just creates a video HTML5 element. And again, it matches an object with the output class audio and creates an audio HTML5 element. Or it matches an object with output class iframe. This is important when you have embedded YouTube videos, so that it creates an iframe in the HTML output. The XSLFO contributed style sheet is just matches any object with the iframe video or audio, and it creates a basic link. So all it does is that, you know, it links to that video without embedding it. And as a sample, let's say I have a DITA map with space videos. For example, one of the topics has an YouTube video here, and it refers to it like object data reference to the YouTube embed link, output class iframe. It could also refer maybe to an MP4 video using output class video, or refer to an MP3 audio using output class audio. So once I have this, without any parameter, I just publish to Web Help, and in the Web Help output I will have the embedded video in place. But it works with also with the plain XHTML processing, you know. So again, you have two embedded YouTube videos here.
I guess with any other HTML plugin that extends the HTML transformation.
Yeah, because the style sheet contributed by this plugin is contributed to the pool of style sheets used for HTML output. And for the PDF, again, this plugin doesn't have parameters. It relies on the fact that the object element in the data source has a specific output class. And the PDF, has links to the videos. Instead of embedding them, you can click the link and follow it. And maybe with some effort we could have embedded the videos as well when the PDF was published with the renderers and antenna house. But we're waiting for feedback, see if people are interested in this plugin or not.
Does one plugin cover PDF and HTML?
Yeah, because
repeat the question, Radu.
Does one plugin cover both PDF and XHTML output? And the answer is that the plugin .xml has both extensions here. So it has both an extension which contributes the XSLT for XHTML and an extension which contributes the PDF style sheet. I could have created two plugins. In this case, I just went with one. Next plugin, and these are simple plugins. They don't have that much XSLT. You don't need that much XSLT knowledge to create such a plugin. You just need an idea, and the ideas usually come from our users. Another idea was somebody wanted to obtain the merged data output. So you have a data map with topics, and you want to obtain a single file which contains all those topics expanded in place. And why do you want this? Maybe you want to publish to a certain format using a certain process that you already have set up on your site. Or maybe you want to generate various reports. Maybe you want to apply a spell checker on the entire content, or maybe apply an SSLT style sheet and obtain some kind of quality checks. See if all short descriptions are lower than 100 characters and so on. So sometimes having this merged output may help you get a better idea about your entire content, about how your entire content looks like when it's merged in one file. And to create this plugin, I just copied content from the PDF plugin, which at some point merges all the DITA content in one output. It's a very basic plugin, so it contributes a new transformation type called Merged, and has a description, and it refers to a build file. And this ant build file, I just copied a little bit of the content from the PDF plugin. So what it does is that it calls certain targets which are already defined in the DITA OT plugin, like actually this is our target, and it calls build init to initialize the build, the pre-process, and the map to merge, which creates the file. And for the file, at some point I take the file and copy it to the output folder. So after the map merge is done, I take the file which results from it and I copy it to the output folder. So without being very familiar with the PDF plugin, I just took little bits of it. And it works like this. So we have the flowers.html data map, and I apply this special trans type, merge data content to a single file. The plugin is already integrated in the DITA OT which comes with Oxygen, so I'm not integrated it manually. So the output, it's not very beautiful, but it contains everything, all the data content merged into one file, all the topics and so on. So it's good to run quality checks on it, and or maybe publish it to some exotic format that is not supported in the DITA OT.
Does it have any of the extra attributes and elements?
Yeah, so it has all default attributes are expanded, like the class attribute, the domains, and so on, xtrf. Yeah, so it looks like the XML from which the PDF output obtains the XSLFO. It's just, if you take the entire pipeline for the PDF output, it's just a little stage from that. And then I copy the file to the output because I'm not running any extra processing on it. At some point, one of our users had the idea of embedding HTML content in DITA topics. So they had a DITA topic and they said, okay, after this paragraph, I want to add this JavaScript part, you know, this HTML div, and somehow I want to get that in the output, you know. So it seems like a strange idea, but you know, instead of just modifying XSLT style sheets and adding output class to this topic and that topic and creating a plugin, having the possibility to embed HTML fragments in various parts of the topic for XHTML output, XHTML based output, seems like a good idea. So just to show you, because in this way you take full control over the HTML output styling. Maybe in some parts you just need that. To show you an example about how this plugin could be useful. For example, I have a very simple DITA map, and at some point the topic contains a foreign element, and in which I have a character data, and in this the user can paste the HTML output that it needs to be well-formed HTML, so it needs to have all the closing tags in place. So they just paste what they want here, and then the generated XHTML output will contain this piece as it is, you know. So in this case, in this topic, after this paragraph, I will add a div with an iframe referencing an YouTube embedded video and some bold text after the iframe. So I'm just running the default XHTML output, and the produced topic, you know, will contain this fragment exactly as it was added by the technical writer, for example. So they took control over this this publishing part by just embedding XHTML in the DITA topic.
Is that ignored when you run PDF?
It should be. Hopefully, I thought of that and ignored it. But we'll look in the plugin, because maybe we can do it now. So it's called Oxygen XML HTML embed. Again, an open source plugin. And I think I forgot to ignore it for the PDF output, because I should have added an extension for the PDF and ignore those output class, those special output class. Hopefully the PDF output ignores all foreign elements anyway, but I'm not sure. So maybe I can get back and produce a style sheet also for the PDF output, which doesn't apply any templates on that file. The plugin is again very simple, does not contribute any transformation type, and then it says apply this style sheet for all HTML files, and then very simple, match the foreign DITA element with an output class HTML embed. And what it does, it's a special Saxon function which parses those divs that the technical writer pastes in are just plain text, so they need to become HTML nodes. So Saxon parse takes the text and produces HTML nodes, and then I apply copy of to obtain the HTML output that you saw. Of course, a problem with this plugin is that only works with the Saxon 9, but you know, the entire DITA OT is reliant on Saxon 9, so this is an extension which belongs only to the Saxon processor. Actually, what other processors are there?
I think newer version of XSLT has a parse function, if I remember correctly, but I'm not 100% sure. Yes, I think XSLT3 added something. May have.
And what processors of XSLT3?
Saxon.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Excel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this plugin was or the libraries for this plugin were created by George Bina, and they allow you to publish DITA maps and DITA topics which are Relax NG based to any output with the DITA Open Toolkit. As you know, with DITA 1.3, Relax NG became the regular way in which you describe the DITA vocabulary. And then, of course, the committee also, or the DITA OT also provides the DTDs and XML schemas. But if people want to edit the topics and maps using the Relax NG based specializations, they have this plugin which can be integrated in any external DITA OT, and it will work. Until now, using Oxygen you could publish, but using an external DITA OT you couldn't publish, and that's why I created a plugin using George's existing libraries. So a Relax NG DITA specialization looks like this. Let me show you. So this is the DITA map. As you see, it doesn't have a doc type declaration here. It just references a Relax NG version of the map. This is provided by Oasis. And this is a DITA topic, which again has no doc type and references the Relax NG Oasis specialization. And the task of the plugin is to use these schemas and construct the default attribute values. So this plugin injects default attributes values so that the XSLT style sheets know how to process the DITA content. So if I publish with the plugin installed, I can get, you know, any kind of output starting from this. You know, this is the DITA map, this is a DITA topic, and it works. The plugin looks quite simple, but it is not. So the plugin, yeah, you know, so the plugin says, I want to contribute 2 libraries to the DITA OT processing. Yes, George. 5 minutes. Okay. And one of the libraries is the Jing library, and it can parse Relax NG content. For example, it can parse the content and obtain the default attribute values necessary for the topics. And the other libraries was created by George Bina and injects a pre-parser processor before the processor which parses the XML content. Usually XML content is parsed like by a parser which emits events like start element, attribute, text, end element, and so on. And when this pre-parser receives these events, it will also inject default attribute values so that the style sheets which are later on in the processing stage will receive the values and be able to run the processing. So this library installs a service which installs a pre-processing step in the service parser. And at some point this plugin will probably, or a version of this plugin will be part of the DITA OT distribution to support Relax NG by default. And the plugin that I had forgotten about, made by my colleague Christy, who is a product manager on the Oxygen web online web editing tool. And this plugin adds links from the PDF and web help output to the original DITA topic. We don't yet have a final GitHub destination for it, but maybe in a couple of days we'll have it back on the official GitHub Oxygen website. I will show you what this plugin does when it is run with the appropriate parameters. So, for example, this is the Oxygen user manual generated from DITA, and for each topic which gets generated to HTML, you have these two links. One is to a history, and it calls REST API to call the GitHub distribution of the DITA sources, and one is an edit link. And each one of these links is capable to taking you precisely to where in GitHub that topic was located. So I have a history, or I can edit it directly in my web app editing tool, you know. So this allows maybe internal reviewers to look at the web help and then edit each topic and give feedback on it. We also kept it for external reviewers because, as it happens, most of our reviewers are technical writers, so they are sometimes inclined to make changes to our user's manual because they probably know more about user manuals than we do. And for the PDF, edit link. So this is the PDF version of our user's manual. Once you set some parameters in the plugin, the PDF version gets again links to the to the GitHub account from where the topic was generated. And then again, from the PDF, as a reviewer, you can switch to the web editor, make changes, commit them back, and shorten this cycle of review, because you don't need to make comments in the PDF and send it back to the original writer. This is not only GitHub related, so it has certain parameters in which you can contribute the name of the server which should get called, and the URL of the DITA topic from which the HTML or the PDF content was generated. So it allows easier contributions for regular reviewers. So as I showed you these plugins, I also showed you how some of the plugins were constructed. You know, a plugin which contributes a simple SSLT customization is not that hard to implement. I usually copy an existing plugin. I usually know a couple of existing small plugins, and then I copy one, and then I modify the SSLT a bit, modify the plugin ID. We had some problems because we wanted all these plugins to be compatible with both DITA OT 1.8 and 2.0. So you need to be careful about what extension points you're using. If I'm using a newer extension point, my plugin is not compatible with DITA OT 1.8. And if you have many customization, you can either keep them in a single plugin or split them in multiple plugins, or whatever you see fit. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Radu. So, any questions? One or two questions, maximum? Yes, Elliot. Just a comment, if you've seen like for that topic, you've seen two references to the Relax NG's file. It was because one referred the schema as a Relax NG and the other as a schematron schema, because a Relax NG schema can contain embedded schematron rules. That's why you have two references there.
Yeah, so Elliot Kimber from Contracts. So I was just going to mention on your video, that's very cool, DITA for Publishers provides specialization that provides video and audio elements that are designed to mirror exactly, well, as close as possible, the HTML5 video and audio. And they would probably work directly with your plugin.
Yeah, so I somehow wanted to achieve this with the non-specialized data topics.
Sure.
Yeah, because we added the actions to insert references to media resources in Oxygen, and those actions work with any data topic, let's say. So yeah, so I wanted to be more generic, and some people are not comfortable using specializations at all, for example. So I based that on the output class attribute.
Okay.
Nobody wants me to run. Okay.
I was just going to say the edit plugin, if you could have that up on GitHub by the end of the day, that would be very good, because
Yeah.
I want to immediately integrate that into all of the things that I produce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And now we have the first coffee break, so enjoy, and we'll see you in half an hour. Thank you.
Thank you.